Kids Playground.
Hooray!
This is the Deron Harris Podcast. Here's your host, Deron Harris.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Hopefully everybody had a good week. Hopefully everybody's mental health and mental state of being is good. I'm having a problem. I'm having a real problem though. And you know, it has to do with some mental health, because there's got to be some sort of mental issues tied to this. And I don't see how there can't be any mental issues tied to this. The other day was Juneteenth, and my wife and I decided we were going to, kind of stay in the neighborhood, see what's happening in the neighborhood. I did a podcast about this last week, but one of the things I noticed is while we were kind of riding around was church. It's one thing that is very prominent here where I live, church. My mother is a pastor of a church. Church is huge. So I started wondering, though, because I was standing at a church and I was looking across the street at another church and then down the block at another church. So what I decided to do is I put myself in my car and I drove around. And I took video of all of these churches in our black neighborhoods. All these churches. There's so much fucking church. There's so much church. But yet we live like animals. I took pictures of all the dilapidated properties. Some of the churches themselves are dilapidated themselves. There's too much church. I don't care what you say. I don't care who you want to sick on me to rebuke the devil out of me. I don't give a damn about that. There's too much church. You guys need to be rebuked is who it is. Everybody up here claiming that they some sort of pastor, some sort of divine needs to shut the fuck up. All right? If I'm standing around here looking at this dilapidated ass house right next to this dilapidated ass church, ain't doing nothing but taking your money, wasting your time. You're not getting nothing out of it. What did you learn? What did you learn this week that you didn't learn last week? What was new? Anything? It's gonna be hard to squeeze anything new out of a book that's 2,000 years old. People need to learn some things that are dealing with things today. Because I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. The Bible can't cover everything, and it doesn't. It really doesn't. It doesn't have a contingency for everything. Oh, the Bible you can associate. Yeah, pretty much everything. You can sit back and you can have as much coincidence as you want to with the Bible. Oh, well, these times reflect. Stop it. This is what's going on right now today. Okay? This is what's happening right now today. Right now today, Christians, okay? This is for all the Christians. I'm addressing you right now. This is for all the Christians out there. There is a political party that has taken Christianity, everything Christian, and turned it to everything except Christian. Everything except Christianity. I think one of the 10 Commandments was thou shalt not kill. But all they want to do is covet and hoard guns. An instrument made specifically to take a life. It's not like a knife. The only thing that's made specifically to take lives. Not a hammer, not a screwdriver, none of that shit. A gun was made specifically to take a life. And they will protect these motherfucking things with everything they got. Is that godly? Huh? Is that Christian-like? Huh? These same people walking around here, we love Jesus. Jesus is our Lord and Savior, but we can't stand niggers. Is that godly? Huh? Is that godly? No. And if you're sitting here claiming that it's the same, listen, y'all need to wake up, man. Everybody involved needs to wake up and understand that this has always been a con job. This was indoctrinated into us. I cannot stress that enough. I cannot stress that enough. What have they ever given us that has been good for us? I cannot stress that enough. But what do? We sit here and we play along with it. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, master. It's slavery 2.0 around this motherfucker. They make all kinds of crazy ass laws, made all kinds of crazy shit, vagrancy laws, just so they can lock us the fuck back up and make us work for nothing in the fucking prison system. But oh, Jesus is gonna help us. Jesus ain't helping nobody right now. Who's he helping? Look at our people all over the planet. Look at what we suffer through. Look at what we're going through. We have a whole continent. We have a continent. We have an entire continent called Africa that slowly but surely is being taken from us. How is God or Jesus Christ on our side if he is allowing this to happen? Oh, it's God's will. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Now, I know I'm a little harsh today, and sometimes I get a little harsh. And the reason why I get harsh is because I walk around and I look at all these fucking hypocrites. Oh, you can't get into heaven. A rich man has no chance of getting in heaven. But meanwhile, we see all these pastors running around in their fucking Cadillacs, nice-ass house, kids go to private school. Fuck that. Fuck that. We see all these fucking churches around here week in, week out, collecting your fucking tithes and offering every day, week in, week out. Same fucking paint job, same fucking sign, every damn thing, the same shit. You're being lied to. You're being swindled. You're being bamboozled. And if there is a God, if there is a Jesus Christ up there, none of these motherfuckers are going. As much as they want to stand up and claim how righteous they are, they need to all sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. You ain't teaching nobody nothing. You ain't got nothing for the neighborhood. Nothing. Where's the fucking community outreach, huh? 1 million churches. 1 million fucking churches in the hood. Some of them, listen, some of them right next door to each other. 2 different congregations, 2 different churches right next door to each other. What the fuck is that for? What is that for? And not to mention, you got the 2 things, and then around the corner from that, dilapidated house. One of the churches I saw even had a don't bring guns or firearms or anything. Right on it, something that you would, when you walk into the fucking courthouse, you see that. You see that sign. When you walk into a motherfucking courthouse, that's the sign you see. But now it's up on the church in the hood amongst all these dilapidated ass buildings. All these ran down dwellings. People living in extreme poverty. Squalor all over the fucking place. But keep praying. Keep on praying. Keep the faith. You got to have faith. It's hard to. I'm going to tell you straight like that. It really is. It's hard to have any kind of faith when you just see the shit that has spiraled into. When I was younger, I went to church. I went to church with my grandmother all the time. We went to a church, actually, it's around the corner from where I am now. But we went to this church, and I knew everybody in the congregation, and everybody in the congregation knew me and my family, and everything was cool. And, we met every Sunday and every Wednesday night for Bible study, and every third Sunday we would go into the little annex, and everybody would cook a little bit of food, and we'd eat and have a good time. And it was fun, and it was festive. It was great. That church looks exactly the same as it did when I was 10 years old. The same. Full house. A full house. Every single week. Passing around the collection plate. Did you pay your tithes? How about, did you pay your offering? Do you have enough for your offering? That's all right. There's always next week. Make sure you show up next week with your offering. Oh, because God needs money. He needs your money in order to keep this house functioning. We got to keep this house. We got to keep this house of the Lord open. And they do. They keep it open. But where does that money go? Where does that money go? You ever wonder that, folks? You ever ask yourself that? I mean, I know it's pretty obvious. But where does that money go when you don't see the tithes and offerings upgrading the buildings in the religious establishments that they're in? It's going to be on my Instagram. I put on my Instagram. I got a video that I made where I ran around the neighborhood, where I went around my grandmother's old neighborhood. I just went around and took pictures of every single church I could find. And it took a couple hours, 2, 3, and I still didn't get them all. Still didn't get them all. And that's just the black side of town. One side. One side. It's like it's like once you reach a certain age and you tired of partying out here and no more going to the club, you become religious and then you want to open a church. That's what happens. Or some people are just brainwashed into it from the jump. They have no choice. This is how you come up. This is where you live at. This is who you live around. This is your life. This is the school that you go to. This is what you're doing. This is it. This is it. They're indoctrinated into it. It's sad for everybody, man, but there's got to be a way that we can get through to everybody, or at least me, I'm trying to anyway, that we can get through to everybody and say, hey, listen, you might need to take a look at some more of this evidence. There's more information out there. You might need to take a look at it. But they won't. And I'll cover why that is when I come back from break. This is Deron Harris Podcast. I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dave. I was once a scroll troll, lost in countless amounts of social media videos, feeling triggered by other people's feelings and opinions about topics I would enjoy. I would lash out and give feedback every time. To feel so attached to what others were saying was dangerous for my mental health. Choosing to leave social media and my connected devices for a day gave me a perfect detox and allowed me to become more set in reality. No more stressing over comments, just relaxation knowing that I cannot let others' opinions bother me, giving me a sense of protection from the negativity. I feel like I've strengthened my mentality. So if you ever feel the pressure of social media controlling your emotions, remember, you have a choice to put the device down and pick up life.
Now, back to the Deron Harris Podcast.
Yo, what it do? Welcome back to the show, folks. Today I'm talking about the black church problem. Because it is. It is a serious problem in the black community. In fact, I think it's one of the biggest problems in the black community, right up there with Popeyes. Right up there with Popeyes. And hair places. Beauty supply shops. It's one of those things. They can be poisonous. They can be poisonous to our community, and I'll let you know why. Because they take our time. They take our time. They take our time. You hear what I'm saying? We don't have a lot of it. But they consume and they eat up our time. I mean, I know people right now. Lonely praying to God, praying for a man. Lonely praying for a man. Hands and knees, crying, boo-hoo, Lord, please send me somebody. Please send me somebody. There's people all out here. But they looking for people to walk in the church. They looking for these upstanding churchmen. Guess what? They don't exist. They're called regular men. You need to go to regular places to meet regular people. Regular men. The Lord is going to bless me with somebody. I'm going to tell you what. I got blessed. I got blessed in my marriage. But I'm going to say I got blessed because of some things that I did, some things that I was not willing to put up with anymore in any relationship that I was ever in. And because of that, my partner was attracted to me for who I was. I did that. Oh, it was the Lord that made you. No, it wasn't. Just like it wasn't the devil who made you run your credit card up past its limit. That's one thing we need to do. We need to stop putting our shortcomings and all of our bullshit off on religion. We need to stop telling people shit like, oh, God gonna work it out. Because what if he doesn't? I'm sure a lot of people in Fort Myers prayed their ass off before that hurricane slammed into their coastline and fucked the whole place up. I'm sure a shit ton of Christians was out there praying. I bet you every single one of them thought the hand of God was going to protect them and their stuff. Come on, folks. Come on, y'all. There's all kinds of stuff now, too, man. There's all kinds of new evidence, all kinds of new research, all kinds of stuff that's out there now. I mean, it's just out there now. But people still gravitate and hang on to this. They gravitate and hang on to this. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, man. Maybe I'm wrong. And honestly, I hope so, man. I hope I am. Because I really do. If there is a place called heaven, I really would love my mother for my mom to go there. I hope that my grandmother is there. You know, I hope if there is a real place called heaven, I hope that they are there. But nobody on the face of this fucking earth right now can validate for me unequivocally that there is a place called heaven or a place called hell. They can't do it because they haven't been, because they have not crossed over. So they cannot know. They cannot know. Somebody told me, oh, the Bible is the divine word of God. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. It's not. It's the word of some guys. There was even books that were taken out of it. The book of Enoch was taken out of it. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And back in them days, anybody could write a Bible. Anybody could write a book of righteous parables or a story. Anybody could do. A few people did. Few people wrote their own Bible. Look that shit up. Facts. But it's something about this one. But like I said, even though there's so much research, so much more to it. There's so much more to it. We still have this narrow view, this narrow-pathed view of what this religion actually is. But people constantly step over the line, and then they erase the line and they make it a little bit higher so that they can ride within the line some more. They widen the lanes a little bit more. That's how Christianity works. Don't do this. Oh, well, I like to do this. Okay, well, don't do this, and we'll write in that you can do this. Okay, don't do this and this, and that'll last for a little while. But then somebody, don't do that. Well, I like it. Well, we like this person, but they like it. Okay, well, we're going to add this too. So don't do this, and this. And that's so on and so forth. There are over 300 different veins of Christianity. And none of the motherfuckers know what the fuck they talking about. None of them know what's right and what's wrong. None of them. They sit and dictate to you, another mortal human, dictating to you how to be godly, how to be righteous. When these motherfuckers are hypocrites themselves. They got all kind of illegitimate babies out here from the pastors. All kind of shit like that out here. Miss me with all this fucking church shit. Oh, I'm just trying to stay close to the Lord. Well, you know what? If that's what you need to believe in order to keep then you know what? By all means. By all means. But you can miss me with all the rest of this religion bullshit. I mean, because it is. That's exactly what it is. It's the greatest story ever told. It really is. And it's making me mad because when I go to my grandmother's neighborhood over here, when I go back over into this neighborhood, my grandmother's house is not livable. You cannot live in my grandmother's house. It's dilapidated. And I have a cousin's house. My cousin, his house is right around the corner from there. And his house is also dilapidated. And between those two houses, there's 3 churches. There's 3 churches, right? I mean, between those two. Why? I mean, I don't understand that. I would like to see, like I said earlier in the earlier segments, I want to see some community outreach. How come you guys don't get together and say, hey, let's have a summit? Let's have a summit with all these churches and try and figure out what we can do for our community. What we can do to better our community. What can we do to empower our community? But we don't. You know why? Because we're too busy gossiping about each other. We're too busy, well, such and such did that. Well, such and such needed to stop drinking such and such. Well, we went out last week and such, she said she saw such and such out with such and such dude in. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Mind your fucking business. Mind your business. Go get some business. But you know what? They don't have any business. You know why? Do you know why? Because their whole business is in the fucking church. Everything that goes on, their whole social life, everything that goes on in their life depends on the church. Everything. Everything in their lives, everything they do, they eat, sleep, breathe. It's like a whole soap opera, and it's at every single one of them. It's at every one of them. It's at every single church. Every church. They're sitting back there smiling in your fucking face and talking so much shit behind your back. I don't get and I don't understand how these people can sit up and call themselves Christians or righteous people. It's fucking ridiculous. It's like, wow, man, I can't believe you motherfuckers actually have the audacity to flex this way. People say they're counselors. You're supposed to be able to go to your pastor and count. Get the fuck out of here. Like you got a degree in some shit, like because the only thing you're going to tell me, well, if you give your life to God, then things will work themselves out. I know plenty of people who have given their lives to God. I know homeless people on the street, saved homeless people who have given their lives to God and asked for abundance, and he gave them an abundance of no house, an abundance of homelessness, an abundance of different diseases that they catch while they're on the streets. And that's another thing too. These Christians ride by these homeless people. There's plenty of homeless people. I mean, and right now, Lake City is. I mean, it's a controllable problem right now. Lake City, it's controllable. You could control it. You could control it if you wanted to. Because there's what? There's only like 15 or 16, 17, 20. It's a small-ass town, and that's my fucking point. I mean, it's a little-ass town. Look it up on the map. Lake City, Florida. It's fucking horrible. It's super small. Super small. But they got, I think, the number 2 highest crime rate in the state of Florida. Why is that? Why do we have the number 2 crime? I thought we was fucking praying. I thought we was around here praying. I thought we was moving mountains. I thought we was doing it. I thought prayer worked. I thought keeping the faith worked. But no, it got worse here. It seems like the more you pray, the worse it gets. And I'm going to say this too. Another problem is all of these badass kids that came from these households where all these people went to church and they relied on the church to tell them how to parent their kids. It's a lot of bullshit out here. A lot of bullshit. A lot of mental bullshit. Negative mental bullshit that's associated and tied to the church. It really is. And we need to, it's high time we wake up and understand and figure that out. I mean, I wouldn't mind going to church if I actually learned something in church. If I learned something worth learning. You know what I'm saying? Like Jesus disappeared. Jesus disappeared in the Bible. And there's all kinds of speculation where he went to. All kinds of speculations where Jesus went to. But a lot of people say Jesus went to Africa. A lot of people say Jesus went to Africa to study with other people. To study with other religions and other ethnicities and other groups of people. That's what, I've heard that before, several times. But be hard-pressed to get one of these preachers to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I need some biblical accuracy. Now, some people talk about there is some biblical accuracy in the book. There's lots of it. Okay, that's great. And Spider-Man lives in Queens. You feel me? Captain America, he's from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So I'm quite sure there's some accuracies. I'm quite sure in the Bible, because let's face it, it's not a book from space. These motherfuckers wrote it. It's a book that they wrote. It's just a bunch of parables that you learn throughout the years. And not only that, it's been changed. It's been changed by men. It is not the divine work of God. It is not the divine voice of God. I'm having a hard time I'm having a hard time believing that God told Paul to write the letter that told him for slaves to obey their earthly masters as if they were God himself. I'm having a hard time believing that God wrote that down to Peter. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. Especially if God is the God who he says he is. An all-loving God. An all-accepting God. Right? So why do I need to be a slave, God? When I pray to you about getting out of slavery, I'm still a slave. As much as I prayed to God for so many things in my life, and then tried to walk and ride the line until finally, I just have to get off the ride because I feel like I'm starting to waste my time here. And it's very sad. It's very sad to question your religious beliefs. It really is, because I feel bad. I feel, what if I'm wrong? There's all kinds of stuff. What if there really is Jesus? You know what I mean? All kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff, but I can't help but think, man, there's so much going on in the world. So much bad going on in the world. And if you're the all-powerful, almighty God who is able to fix these things, then how come these things have not been fixed? And even so, how come people can't accurately explain to me why it hasn't been fixed? Feel me? They just can't accurately explain to me why. Well, he hadn't fixed it because, he overslept. See, it just doesn't make if you're able to do these things and this is what you're looking for, then you should be able to. I mean, you give people free will, and the reason why you give people free will is because you can't control people. You can't control it. And that's one of the things they sat down and discussed. Well, people are going to, think that, God, they're going to realize God's not really controlling them. Well, we have to make it about free will then. They get to choose whatever they want. But they should choose what we say they choose, because that's the righteous thing to choose. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good lessons in the Bible. No, there just is. A lot of good stories in the Bible. A lot of good Psalms. The Psalms and the Proverbs. The Psalms and the Proverbs. If I read the Bible, that is exactly what I'm looking for, is the Psalms and the Proverbs. And the reason why is because they do actually have some things that pertain to life in general. It really does. So in that, I can't really knock it, because it does. It has an infinite amount of good ideas, but it also has just as much bad shit in it as well. Just as much. It doesn't make any sense to me, folks. It doesn't make any sense that people are able to hijack the religion. It doesn't make any sense that there's more than 300 avenues of this same religion. It doesn't make any sense to me why people still are getting away with the things that they're getting away with, and still being a part of this religion. I don't understand why, these people over here, they get to enjoy the benefits of their lives today, but we have to wait until we die to collect anything, or to not collect, but to reap the benefits and and receive our blessings. We have to die and pass on to the afterlife. I mean, these people over here, they go to church at this giant white mega church, or some white folks over here at this church, and they living good. They live real nice. They live good. Ain't no dilapidated houses. I didn't find one. I didn't see one. And I'll have a video for that shortly also, but because there's a lot of those too. It's just here where I'm at, it's a lot of church. I mean, like every fifth drawer is a church. I mean, honestly, it should be called Church City. There was a Church's Chicken down the street, and it closed. And you know what they did? They turned that motherfucker into a church. It's not there anymore, but holy shit, y'all. Come on, man. Come on, man. We need some other types of things to empower our people in our neighborhoods, in our particular group of society. We need that. We don't need any more churches. That's one thing we don't need. We do not need another church. And now we just had Dr. Tony Evans, huge mega church pastor. He just stepped down 2 weeks ago, stepped down from his congregation that he built of over, I think it's it's a bunch of, like 10,000 people he's got. 10,000, he stepped down from his ministry citing sin. I've sinned. I've been sinning. No, man, you've just been human. You've just been human. A lot of times, this Christianity shit, it strips the humanity off of people. It strips what are our natural instincts all away from us. Oh, we can't do this because the Bible said, but my body and everybody else's body and the monkeys, they fucking do it too. The monkeys is doing it. And we cousins to the monkeys. And that is in us. That is inbred in us. That is part of who we are. That's our DNA. And you telling me I can't do that no more? Man, you have lost your fucking mind. You have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. I think in the near future there's going to be a reckoning with the black church. There damn sure needs to be. Because in my opinion, I feel like they are just as guilty as the rest of these liquor stores and gun stores and all these other places. I think they're all guilty of destroying our neighborhoods, helping to destroy and keep our neighborhoods where they are. I think it's all a part of a plan. And it is. But we don't get it. We don't understand it. And we can sit back as long as we want to. We can sit back as long as we want to and try to pretend that this religion was not given to us by some people who colonized us. We can sit back and pretend all fucking day that this religion was given to us by some people who had our best interests at heart. We could sit there and believe that bullshit all day. But I'm going to choose a different avenue. I'm going to choose not to believe that shit until I have some hardcore, pinpoint, pitch perfect proof. And that's it. That's it. You're gonna have to come to me with not some parable or what like Bible verses. That does not impress me. That does not impress me. You can come up and recite 1,000 Bible verses. I don't give a fuck. Okay, I don't give a fuck. That does not mean anything to me. That doesn't mean anything. Bible verses, speaking in tongues and all that shit. That shit don't mean nothing to me. Because it's an act. It's an act. It's theatrics. It is the theatrics of church. And that is ultimately what made me, that turned me into this guy, is the theatrics in church. There's so much theatrics. People walking around crying for no. Why? Why are you fucking crying? The fuck you crying for? They don't cry over here. But we worship from a different place. We worship from a place of oppression. You know, we feel like we carrying a cross. We right next to Jesus. We feel like we got to be right there. We got the cross with you, Jesus. We nailing it. Oh, you can come put the nails in our hands too, because we got to go through the same thing Shut the fuck up, man. Shut up, man. Shut the fuck up. Ugh. Screaming, ah! For what? For why? He heard you last week and the week before and the week before that. I'm pretty sure if he's omnipotent and omnipresent and he can read everybody's mind, knows what everybody's thinking, I'm pretty sure he can just read your mind and know what you're thinking. You don't have to scream it. You don't have to scream. You don't have to scream and yell. I'm sure he gets it. I'm sure he gets it. I'm almost positive that he can hear you. It doesn't make any sense. I've said that. That's a crutch phrase, by the way, folks. It doesn't make any sense. That would be the crutch phrase of this episode. I'm going to see if my producer can catch it. Hopefully, he'll catch it before this, but that's okay. But yeah, folks, that's pretty much my issue with the black church. I got some issues with the black church, and they're not going to answer none of us. Okay, not until we start holding them accountable. Not until we start holding them accountable and making them follow through on the things that they're supposed to follow through. You just took this money for all this tithe and offerings. You've been taking this money, and this church has been here for, 22 years. It looks exactly the way that it did 22 years ago. You're not putting any money into it. You're putting it in your pocket. So, all right, folks, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Deron Harris Podcast. Yeah. You know, if you're going to go to church, that's cool, man. Go to church. Seek spirituality. But don't fall for the brainwashy bullshit, man. Just steer clear of it. And if you start feeling it and sensing the bullshit, get the fuck up and run, run, run. I'm not even kidding. Get up and run, run, run. So, I want to thank my parents. And both my parents are saved Christians. And that's great. It's awesome for them, and I absolutely love them. And they understand how I feel, and why we have to rebut. Why I have to rebut and why we always get into heated discussions is because their faith is so strong, and, my beliefs are pretty strong too. So, who else do I want to thank? I want to thank my best friend. I want to thank my wife, my best friend. I want to thank Gentry Thomas for letting me do my show, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody out there. Last but not least, everybody out there listening. listening to the show, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for week in and week out. If you've been with me, for a while, thank you very much for the week in and week out. Sometimes I go off on tangents. Sometimes I know the content that I'm putting out is a little sketch, but I'm working on it. It's an everyday thing. And even still, just so y'all know, my control room where I do my podcast, there's no air conditioning in here. So I'm in here on some guerrilla. I'm on some straight up guerrilla podcasting in here. I feel like I'm in the jungle. So, but until next week, folks, open your eyes. Try and get them open. Go ride around your neighborhood. I dare you. Go ride around your neighborhood. Go ride around your neighborhood and see how many churches you see. All right? You guys have a good week. Peace.
You've been listening to the Darren Harris Podcast. Subscribe to the show, give a good rating, and everything you need to know is at DarrenHarris.com.